Indigenous peoples of Mother Earth and states. I'm a Hoopa Valley tribal member of the village of Sewalnalden in the Six Rivers Forest, as well as Shoshone Paiute of Payanada. I am here with the Indigenous Environmental Network. IEN has long advocated for the protection of Mother Earth and has made many efforts to educate about various efforts to harm her, as well as Indigenous peoples that are inherently related to the ancestral lands, waters, and air. We have made interventions regarding false solutions to address climate change, including at this forum, as these false solutions do not address the release of greenhouse gases at the source. Many cause direct and indirect harm to Indigenous peoples. This intervention is to suggest what we are for, a way forward for Indigenous peoples, without reliance on extractivism in all its guises. The Indigenous principles of a just transition provides a framework for not just economic, but reorientation, but also includes strategies to address human health, planetary, territorial health, and climate change. It incorporates not just a rights-based approach, but also a responsibility-based approach based on a respective spiritual cosmovision and cultural ways that compromise our Indigenous and political legal systems. From our collective research and discussion, it is apparent that Indigenous just transition stands in its own right and parallels some of the Eurocentric-based just transition, but diverges in significant areas, especially in relation to what is deemed to the right to development and related development projects. On one hand, just transition is linked to jobs and job creation as well as occupational health, whereas an Indigenous just transition is focused upon a healthy community from a broader social context. A job creation with an Indigenous knowledge value system is unique to respective Indigenous political's reality. Spiritual responsibilities form the core of an Indigenous just transition. Indigenous just transition is not just about exercising rights, but rather focuses on responsibilities to family, community, Indigenous nations, and their inherent relationship with the land, air, and water. The key concepts of IJT are self-determination, tribal sovereignty, self-government, and Indigenous sovereignty, linked to green economy, social justice and social responsibilities from an Indigenous knowledge lens, seventh generation planning, Indigenous women economics, law and order with Indigenous foundations, land, labor, and capital, and the role of Indigenous knowledge in development projects, Indigenous peoples' determination of health in contrast to a social economic determinant of health, rethinking economic development, capacity development of inter and tribal research and analysis units, developing planning principles based on Indigenous just transition, perspectives from international to national to regional to state and local level modeling, best practice transferably, best practice, community-based economic development, strengthening Indigenous people's family and social structures. The issue of educating and implementing an Indigenous just transition solution is complex. It is our hope that the forum engages in a process to embrace concepts.